Okay, in the previous exercise we were looking at how you can understand when the sun shines in your window using the sun path diagram. What I want to do in this quick tutorial is just explain how you can go a step further and I suppose begin to shape the obstructions that are to the sun in a more controlled way using a very simple technique in Ecotect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to again look at this window here, which is the window to my room, and we're going to understand how we might reshape some of the obstructions. The obstructions we're going to reshape is my neighbour. What if my neighbour's house were a different shape? Is there some way in which I could very strategically improve the solar access to my bedroom, albeit at his expense? Well, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to extrude an imaginary plane from my window back towards the sun. So at the moment, let's just find out when the last moment on the 21st of March that my neighbour obstructs my window. Handy way to do that is to, in shadow settings, is to view from the sun position. That's this button here. When you click that button, what it allows you to do is to see, not in perspective but in orthogonal projection, the model, but from the perspective of the sun. So as I scroll along here, I can see exactly what the sun sees. So I know that on March 21st, just after, before 11 o'clock, all the way through to just after 1 o'clock is the only sun that will shine in my window. So if I were to say that I actually want the sun to shine in my window till, let's say, 3 o'clock, then I know that if I go to 3 o'clock, that my neighbour's building is going to have to be designed very differently to allow that to happen. So let's see how we can begin to reshape my neighbour's building to allow that condition to happen. I'm going to go to 3D Editor, and this again is the wireframe model. I'm going to do a very simple thing, which I'm going to draw a line. This is the line here, which is on one side of my window. I'm going to take it to the center of my window. There's a line that I've drawn, escape to finish the line. I've drawn it in a vertical axis. You can actually do it in many other ones depending on what you're trying to achieve, but just to explain the process. And I'm going to then extrude that line, which is I've just drawn, back towards the sun. This is a really handy way if you're designing a shading device or if you're designing trying to understand the massing of something, to extrude a line back towards the sun. We do it as follows. We go calculate, shading shadows, project transform, project selected objects, extrude towards sun. When I do that, you'll see that something has already happened, and if I look at it in visualize, I'm going to turn off view from sun. What I find is I've got this slightly ghostly red extrusion, which is from the line that I drew in my bedroom window and then bisecting my neighbour's house. Now this is a really important relationship, because this is extruded in the direction of the sun at a particular time in the sky. I've said 3 o'clock on the 21st of March, and in a way you could pick any other time, but I've just done that for this exercise. I'm going to go back into 3D Editor, and what I'm going to do is there's the whole extrusion there. I'm going to use this extrusion as a clipping plane. So by selecting it in Ecotect, if I press Control Q, when I press Control Q defines a clipping plane of an element. That means it's going to cut something on one side or the other. It also shows a little arrow on this side. Now that arrow is what is called a surface normal, and what we have to do is make sure, and this will become apparent when you're going to do, that arrow is pointing on the side that you want to cut. At the moment it's pointing on the side that I don't want to cut, so I need to reverse the arrow. To reverse the arrow, I'm going to press Control R, that reverses the arrow. And now I'm able to chop my neighbour's house based on this surface, which, as I said, has the arrow pointing to the side I want to chop. So let's just do that. I'm going to pick some of the things of my neighbour's house. Let's chop his roof first. I'm going to select the roof, and then I'm going to press Control W, which is to trim. It's going to ask me what I want to trim. I say, yeah, trim away. I'm going to keep doing that. Control W, Control W, trim that, W, Now, having done all of that, I'll go back to visualize. I've now chopped my neighbour's house on a line that I defined myself, which is to do with the solar access, improving solar access according to a particular time, which I've said is March 21st, 3 o'clock. So my neighbour wouldn't be very pleased with this, but the point I want to make is that in designing a building or designing in particular a window, these kind of exercises or these kind of methodologies help us understand how we might redesign a building to ensure that windows such as mine aren't overshadowed such as mine is. So look at visualize again. What that means now is that if I were to improve the solar access to my window, that's the shape my neighbour's building might have to be. Let's just close up his building just so we finish what we started. I'm just going to use this plane tool here to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Escape to close the shape. I'm going to remove my extruded plane here. So that is the shape my neighbour's house would have to be in order to get better solar access in the evening into my bedroom. Let's have a look at it again. We'll turn on the shadows. And again, I think you can see very clearly what that's going to do as an effect, or probably better viewing it from the sun as we did before. And playing back, let's say, from 10 AM. If I play that forward, you can begin to see that as a geometry that has massively altered the relationship between my window and the sun. So, a helpful way in which you can begin to reimagine building masses with respect to a single window and ideally improve them.